towards digital currency, and central banks can either be leading that drive or they can be playing catch. Banks can either be leading that drive or they can be playing catch. They can be playing catch.
Thank you, Phil. All right. So what I want to do now is move on to our central banking colleague who's on our panel. Oi is, as I mentioned previously, from the Bank of Thailand and has previously worked in the payments department, but currently Deputy Director of the FinTech department as well. So, I mean, from a central banking perspective, what might all of this excitement and conversation about Libra bring to what central banks are doing? Or is this, as Phil says, a complete distraction and you're carrying on with real central banking work and you're not getting carried away with all that stuff in the media?
Thank you, Adam. A very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, ADB, for having me here. And it's my pleasure, especially in this panel, to be the only lady here on the panel as well after lunch. So about Libra, you can't really ignore it, because if you look at the composition of their association, it's a fully equipped ecosystem. They can actually exist in their own world. Some people call it the blue world because they're trying to create the new world with the new currency, with the new adoptions. So in terms of being the central bank or the regulator, we have done some of the proof of concepts of the central bank digital currency. We call the project Inthanon project to be compliance with other projects on the CBDC about the national parks. So in the Bank of Canada, they have Jasper. In Singapore, they have Ubin. And in Thailand, we call it Project Inthanon, which is the highest peak of the mountains in Thailand. So we have finished 2 phases. Now we are getting into the 3rd phase. And we are focusing on the wholesale central bank digital currency, which Philip mentioned about the retail part. And with all the challenges, probably because of those challenges, that's why we're not taking the retail version of it. So we want to explore the benefits of having the digital currency issued by the central bank, and also learning about the technologies itself. Even we are the central bank, but we need to, you need to understand how the technology can help, and also encourage and gather and facilitate the commercial banks to come and learn together with us. Because within the project, we have actually collaborated with the other 8 commercial banks, including local and the foreign branches, to understand this. For the wholesale part, the first phase we did was about the basic functionalities, what the RTGS has. So basically, it's the interbank settlement, and clearing, and also some of the liquidity provision, which DLT can actually provide the real time to increase the liquidity in the market. And we're actually talking about having the system to be operating 24/7, as opposed to the current window open version. And in my old days, in the payment systems, I was actually exploring about the concept of CLS, the continuous linked settlement, to have the cross-border settlement among central banks, right? So you need just certain, a few hours window that all those RTGS are open to have the PVP settlement, payment versus payment, to have the cross-currency settlement, at the same time to reduce the settlement risk. So once the DLT is in place, well, CLS might be disrupted in this way, but still in the proof of concepts, that's what I'm saying, right? Interbank settlement and also liquidity provision in the first part. The second phase we did was about the DVP part. So we integrated the securities life cycle between since the beginning, that the issue, trade, settlement, etc., to be with the currency leg. So you do the DVP, delivery versus payment, to have the real-time settlement between cash and the securities. And also we focused on the compliance part of sharing the information among banks. And the third phase that we are doing right now, we are collaborating with the Hong Kong HKMA, Hong Kong Monetary Authority, to do the linkage between the Inthanon and Lion Rock. HKMA, Hong Kong Monetary Authority, to do the linkage between the Inthanon and Lion Rock of the Hong Kong. So now we are in the implementation phase to build the central corridor for each of the platform to connect, and the implementation phase to build the central corridor for each of the platform to connect, and the platform to connect. And fortunately, we are using the same platform, which is a bit different from what Jasper in the Bank of Canada and Ubin by Singapore has connected via the hash graph, because they are using different platforms, but the functionalities are a bit different from what we're doing. So we're trying to explore the possibilities of having technologies to help. But one of my personal questions about the CBDC itself and the use case that we're doing, that actually RTGS that we already have is working perfectly fine, right? So I'm actually just asking my colleagues who are focusing on the use case, why did you pick this use case at the first place? If you want to explore DLT, you go for I don't know, anything blockchain can answer, trade finance or remittance or any provenance. But one of the answers that actually can enlighten me is about, we need to start something that is quite controllable, because RTGS is within the central bank responsibility. And we know in and out. We set up our regulations on that system. So if we want to do something significant, we need to start from something simple that you can take control of it, you can understand, you understand it well enough to actually leapfrog to adopt new technologies. So that's why GGS has been picked as one of the use cases that the central bank started to explore, and the CBDC comes in place. But for us at the Bank of Thailand, we focused on the wholesale part. And on Thursday, we're going to have another panel talking about this. We have a colleague from the Cambodia Central Bank who share on the retail part as well. So stay tuned for that. I give back